Video, I'll be sharing with you a tutorial on how to cut this stylish on the bust gown with ruffles. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So to start, here is my pattern, and I've gone ahead to mark out the basic measurement, which includes the shoulder to bust, under bust, waist, and 7 inches to get my hip point. If you're a taller person, go ahead to use 8 inches. So the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to mark my shoulder divided by 2. My shoulder is 14 inches divided by 2. I have 7 inches, which I'll go ahead to mark. After I'm done marking, the next step I'll take is to go ahead to come down by 1 inch, and I'll connect for my shoulder slope. Now I'm going to find my chest line, which is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Now when I mark, I'll go ahead to measure what I have there and transfer, because I want to have like a straight line going from this point to that other end. So after I'm done marking, the next step I'll take is to go ahead to mark back what I have on the shoulder, which is my shoulder divided by 2, and I'll go ahead to connect. After I'm done connecting, I'm going to go ahead to divide what I have here into 2, and I'll mark. I'll come out by ½ inch from the midpoint of my armhole. On the chest line, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Now I'll connect from that ½ inch to the upper part, and then go ahead to connect from the midpoint all the way down to my bust circumference divided by 4. After I'm done marking that, I'm going to go ahead to mark my dart, and to mark your dart is your nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches. I'm going to go ahead to mark this all the way down. Now I'm using the full length of this pattern paper as the full length of my dress. Now I'll place my ruler, and I'm going to draw out a straight line on these points, connecting all the marks that I have made. Now I'm going to go ahead to extend this all the way down before marking my dart. Now going ahead to mark my dart, I'm going to mark my dart intake of 1 inch. If you're on the plus size, use 1.5. I'm going to go ahead to mark this all the way to the lower part of my pattern, and after I'm done marking, I'm going to place my ruler, and I'm going to connect, drawing out a straight line on each part of my pattern, connecting this all the way down, because the dart extended all the way down to my pattern. And also I'll be replacing all these dart measurements that I have here. Now after I'm done marking, the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to use my marker to outline my pattern, and after I'm done outlining, we'll move over to the upper part. Now I'll place my curve through, and I will connect from here all the way down, and I'll also connect at the other side of my pattern. So after I'm done connecting, the next step I'll take is to also go ahead to outline it, and we'll now work on the upper part of this pattern. Now I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. Now I'll come up by 1.5 inches for my chest line, and I'll draw out. Next, I'll also mark back the nipple to nipple points there and extend. You can also go ahead to determine the length or where you want your pattern to stop at the upper part from taking your measurement from the shoulder. So for the dart, I took ½ inch at the upper part because I don't want it to be too tight there. Now I'll go ahead to also connect. So after I'm done connecting, I'm going to go ahead to use my marker to outline. The next step is to insert my measurement. I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, and I'll measure the dart intake to replace. So here I'll mark my under bust circumference, measure the dart intake and replace, also add my sewing allowance. So after marking this, I'll go over to the waist, mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4, measure these 2 inches dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. Now if you're on the plus size, your dart intake will be 3 inches at this point. So whatever I have on the hip line, I'll go ahead to take out 2 inches or 1.5 inches from it. This totally depends on how fitted you want your dress to be. Now I'll go ahead and connect all my patterns starting from the waist to the hip line. And after connecting that, I'll place from the hip and I'll take it all the way to the lower part of my pattern. So this is what I have right here, and I'm going to go ahead to outline and then alter the rest of the pattern. So I'll come up by 1.5 inches here, and I'll go ahead, go in by half and then connect it down. Come up by 1 inch here and I will connect to my under bust. Now after I'm done connecting, I will go ahead to use my marker to outline. The next step I'm going to take is to come in by 1 inch here, extend it down, and this is the sleeve of the dress. I'll connect this to the armhole area, come down by 0.5 inches to tighten the sleeve of the dress. Now I'm going to go ahead to mark my dart. That is the bust dart, and to mark your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist at the front and your shoulder to waist at the back. So my shoulder to waist in front is 17 inches, my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5 inches. So but first I have to go ahead to cut out my pattern so that it will be easier for me to blend out the darts when I'm cutting it out or when I'm blending it out. So my waist is 17, my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. So if you take out 15.5 from 17, you have 1.5, which I marked and connected. Now after I'm done connecting to these points, the next step I'll take is to go ahead to shed it out. So after I'm done shedding it out, the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to cut this out. Now I'll also be blending out that part. So if you have any question, please go ahead to leave it at the comment section. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, leave your comment at the comment section, and if you also have any question, you can go ahead to ask. Now I'll cut out the under bust area, and this is what I have. Now I'm going to go ahead to work on the back pattern. Now for my back pattern, this is what I have marked out already. I marked out 1.5 inches for the zipper, and after that I just marked out my basic measurement just like we did for the front. The only difference is that my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5 and my pattern is about 1.5 inches shorter than that of the front because of the shoulder to waist in front is 17, while my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. That is a difference of 1.5 inches. Now after I'm done marking that, the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to start marking my darts, and all the measurements I'm marking is starting after my zipper line. I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I'm going to extend this all the way to the lower part of my pattern. So it's still going to have the same cuts just like we have on the front pattern. Now we are going to mark our dart. For my dart, I'll use 1/2 inch on both sides of this pattern. After that, I'll go ahead to mark this at the lower part of my pattern also, and I'll place my ruler to draw out a straight line. After drawing out my straight line, I'll extend this all the way down and also extend the other side. Now I'll place my ruler and I'll take this all the way up, and after taking this, I'll repeat this at the other side. Now after I'm done marking this, I'll insert my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake and replace my sewing allowance. So here I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, and I'll add my sewing allowance. That is after replacing my dart intake. Here I'm going to measure what I have here, and whatever I have is starting from the zipper. Do not include your zipper measurement. Just like we took out 1.5 inches or 2 inches from the hip line, repeat it on this part also. Now place your ruler and connect, and also connect from the waist to the hip point of this pattern. And after doing that, you're going to go ahead to connect this all the way to the lower part of your pattern. So after you're done connecting, this is what you're going to have. And now we're going to move to the sleeve. I'll also come in by 1 inch, and I'm going to go ahead to extend this all the way down. Now after I'm done extending this, I'll just go ahead to give it a little or nice curve to blend in, extend my dart. So for this dart, you can just sew it up or you can go ahead to cut it out. I came in by 1/2 inch at the zipper to take out any zipper bulge, and I'll extend this all the way up. Then I'll extend this down to the lower part of my pattern. So to avoid having reduction in your sewing allowance, you can replace that 1/2 inch you took out from the zipper to the waistline. So after I'm done marking that, I'm just going to go ahead to cut this out. So the reason why we actually took out that 1/2 inch is so that the center of your back can relax. If you notice, that part of the body is a bit deep, like it's not that straight. Now I'll go ahead to cut out my pattern. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, leave your comment at the comment section, and if you also have any question, please go ahead to ask. Now I'll just go ahead to cut this out or blend it out. Anyone that is okay for you, just go ahead to do that. Now after I'm done cutting out, this is what the final look of the dress. Then go
is
ahead to make your little ruffle for the lower part of this dress. Thanks.